ETA manufactures a wide range of high-end, special-purpose machines for aerospace, defense, automotive and railways. Driven by innovation, ETA designs and manufactures friction welding, stir welding, friction surfacing, electrical upsetting machines for making engine valves. ETA also manufactures a wide range of custom-designed test rigs for the above verticals. ETA makes friction welding machines ranging from 1.5 tons to 300 tons. Friction welding is a solid-phase welding process. Here, two similar or dissimilar materials are made to rub against each other under axial force to produce sufficient heat at the interface. The impurities at the interface are removed as flash. The relative motion of jobs is stopped and a forge welding force is applied to form a strong metallic bond between the materials. This 200-ton machine is designed for welding rod-to-rod eye of hydraulic piston rods with a built-in D-flash unit. The rod eye is held in a hydraulically operated chuck mounted on machine spindle which rotates, while the rod is clamped in a stationary, self-centering vise mounted on machine table. The table is moved towards the spindle to touch the rod face to the rod eye. The rotation of the rod eye makes the interface to rub each other, producing heat sufficient to make the interface red hot and to go to the plastic stage. Further on applying axial force, it makes the impurities at the interface to come out as flashes. When the interface makes molecular level contact, the rotation is stopped and a large forge force is applied to form the metallic bond. On completion of the welding, the job is declamped in vise and it is supported on steady rests. The job now rotates between centers and a built-in CNC D-flash slide gets actuated to D-flash by turning operation. On completing D-flash, the component gets declamped from the chuck and the vise clamps the job again. The table moves back along with the job at the unloading position. Now the clamp opens to enable the job to be retrieved. This 150-ton machine is designed to weld extra long pipes without using a backstop. Heavy-duty clamps ensure no linear slippage occurs during the application of forge force. This production cell is designed for welding spindles to axle housing. The cell consists of a 125-ton friction welding machine integrated with a flange loading station, a spindle loading conveyor, and a measuring unit. Two robots are interfaced in the cell. The higher capacity robot handles the housing, while the smaller capacity robot is used for loading the spindle part into the machine chuck and also to insert the flange to the axle housing. First, the robot picks the axle housing from the conveyor and places it in the machine vise. On welding one side, the robot picks the welded axle and rotates 180 degrees and loads it again into the machine vise for second spindle welding. The robot picks the fully welded axle housing and transfers it to the measuring unit. After run-out measurement, the robot unloads the component. The cell works continuously in auto mode. This 125-ton dual-head machine is used for welding live as well as dummy axles. ETA is the only company that provides this feature of welding both types of axles on a single machine. One head is fixed and the other moves on LM guideways controlled by hydraulic servo. The slide also moves. What is critical is the difference in burn-off between the two ends in maintaining within 1 mm maximum. 60-ton friction welding machine. This 60-ton machine is designed and built to weld rod eye to piston rods. Rods are automatically loaded by the robot. The rod eye is manually clamped in a specially designed 2-job power chuck. Welded job is transferred to the CNC turning machine to remove the weld flash and also does profile turning at the neck. The job is unloaded from the turning machine to the output conveyor by the robot. 40-ton friction welding machine. ETA manufactures 40-ton moving head friction welding machine for welding drive shafts integrated with a robot. The spindle and the tube are transferred from a conveyor onto the machine by the robot. The welded job is transferred to the turning machine to remove the flash. The finished component gets unloaded by the robot. "20-ton dual-head friction welding machine with built-in D-flash by CNC axis for welding propeller shaft. This dual sliding head machine is designed for simultaneous welding of stub shafts or tripods to both ends of tubular shaft. Built-in CNC D-flash unit is provided on each of the sliding heads to remove the flash immediately from the welded propeller shaft. "20-ton horizontal friction welding machine with D-flash by shearing. This 20-ton friction welding machine is designed for welding worm to steering column shaft. The worm is clamped in machine spindle chuck while the steering column shaft is held in the clamping vise mounted on welding slide. The deflashing is done through shearing process. The welded component can also be straightened in the machine automatically. 20-ton friction welding machine for aluminium to copper welding, cable lug. This 20-ton friction welding machine is built to weld non-ferrous materials. Pre-machining is done with a built-in milling head. Bimetallic cable lug can be joined only by friction welding. 15-ton dual sliding head machine for propeller shaft. Under our range of twin head machines, a 15-ton machine is offered for welding propeller shafts. End pieces are held in a fixture provided on the chuck. The pipes are fed using an elevator conveyor. The spindle stops with orientation within 1 degree. 10-ton linear friction welding machine. ETA offers machines for linear friction welding. One of the parts to be welded is held stationary in the machine clamping vise, while the other part is made to oscillate linearly. The rubbing at interface generates heat and the interface goes to red hot and plastic stage. On stopping the oscillation and application of forge force, the components get welded. Load is applied by hydraulic servo cylinder. 10-ton friction surfacing machine. ETA offers stir welding and friction surfacing machines as part of solid phase welding machines. The spindle is driven with an AC spindle motor. The job is clamped on a bolster plate which is mounted on 2-axis CNC coordinate LM guideway slide. Filler rod is fed through the spindle, which it rotates using a hydraulic cylinder controlled by servo valves. Pressure feedback is given by a transducer. In this application, SS is being coated on a MS plate. This machine is capable of providing 50 kN axial thrust and can accommodate a maximum plate size of 500 mm by 300 mm. 10-ton friction stir welding. ETA has made a complex friction stir welding machine which can be used to weld on a curved linear path on aluminium and its alloys or any aluminium metallic material using appropriate stir welding tools. Tool probe penetrates the workpiece. The shoulder rubs with the top surface, producing heat and making it hot, and plastic around the contact area. During circular welding, the spindle gets oriented automatically to maintain the lead angle. Force feed goes up to 100 kN measure inline load cell. Provision is built into the machine for maintaining constant axial thrust on the stir welding tool. Also constant feed force along the axis during stir welding. Parameters such as rotary speed, feed and force during stir welding are recorded and can be retrieved. A set of 24 thermocouples temporarily embodied into the workpiece enables capturing and recording the pyrometric data for offline analysis. Geometric path tracking is available in this machine for control display and record. This machine is also designed to do circumferential welding. In this, the tool is stationary. The job is supported between centers and is driven by a servo motor through a gearbox. As the tool penetrates the job rotates to release the circumferential welding. Online support through the internet is a standard feature. ETA supplies a variety of machines for making engine valves. ETA offers friction welding machines in different capacities for welding engine valves for head-to-pin or pin-to-pin and for sodium-filled valves configurations. 20 kVA twin-head upsetter and press. Auto-loading and robot transfer to press. ETA has developed and supplied many fully automatic cells for producing engine valve forgings. A typical cell consists of 2 twin-station upsetters with loading, a servo-controlled screw press integrated with a robo for job handling. The component is automatically loaded onto the station only after inspecting and accepting whether it is magnetic or non-magnetic material as per the program. The upsetting cycle takes place sequentially in all the 4 stations. The job is loaded onto the clamping vise and it is held loosely. The job is moved vertically by the upsetting cylinder. When the job touches the anvil, it connects the clamping electrode and anvil electrode and short circuits the secondary of the transformer. A heavy current at low voltage passes through the job, making the portion of the job in between the electrodes hot and goes to the plastic stage. The anvil and upset cylinder now travels upwards at a differential speed to form the bulb. The robo picks the bulb and transfers to the press. The forged job is ejected and transferred to the chute automatically. Automatic anvil indexing is also provided in the upsetters. 50 kVA DC upsetter. A new generation metal gathering machine of 50 kVA has been successfully developed. The transformer is with 3-phase input and DC output. Pyrometer is incorporated to measure temperature. DC output ensures that the heating by skin effects inherent with single-phase output machine is totally eliminated. TAPPET end grinding machine. Pendulum type TAPPET and grinding machine offers 2 mm stock removal in a single stroke. It is fully automatic and intelligent to check input length of the component. A CNC version is also supplied for enhanced operation. Grinding cycle, measuring cycle and auto-dressing cycle are programmed for ease of operation. The component is ejected out and guided through a chute to the bin. Head dia turning, facing and profile turning machine. ETA supplies machines for turning and facing engine valves. A special fixture provided on the machine enables the face runout of less than 50 microns, which is a difficult proposition otherwise. Runout on the head dia achieved is less than 80 microns. Components loaded manually into the chute is transferred onto the fixture and then into the spindle collet automatically. Operations like head dia turning and facing and profile turning on stem are carried out in auto cycle. Valve straightening machine. We manufacture a range of straightening machines of various sizes to cater stem dia of 4 to 22 mm. Cycle time is as low as 5 seconds depending on the diameter. The stem is straightened to 0.05 mm and the head within 0.08 mm. Special purpose machines. ETA provides customized machining solutions for the specific needs of the customers. A variety of special machines are developed and supplied for various applications. Special purpose machines, test rigs, assembly and packaging machines. Customized solutions for higher profitability. Ball turning and burnishing machine. Ball heads of automobile ball joints are turned and burnished. ETA manufactures ball turning and burnishing machines which are a class apart and are chosen by all global auto majors because of high sphericity and surface finish. A robot integrated with the machine carries off auto loading, auto measuring, auto feeding and auto unloading. Jobs are loaded manually onto the chute for the robot to pick up. This has enabled very low cycle time, less than 12 seconds. The turning tool is rigidly fixed not to allow the operator to interfere. Auto calibration facility using 0.1 micron accuracy Marpose gauge facilitates adjustment of the tool tip automatically for tool compensation in a closed loop control. The sphericity achieved is within 4 microns and surface finish better than 0.1 micron raw value. The machine can be tooled up for IBJ, OBJ and SPJ ball pins. ETA BT-BMS are totally unmanned during operations. Commutator slotting machine. In this precision commutator slotting machine, the job is rotated by one turn and the angular position of every copper segment is recorded by a laser sensor. Now, with precise positioning, each slot is made in the middle of the segment. Loading and unloading is automatic. The cycle time for a 23-segment commutator is 16 seconds. Tablet filling machine. This tablet filling machine is capable of operating with high reliability in auto cycle to fill tablets in tubes with capacities 10, 20 or 30 tablets per tube. The maximum capacity is 100 tubes per minute. The machine has separate stations for tablet handling, tube handling, tablet filling and capping, and shrink sleeving. Tablets are loaded manually into a hopper. A belt feeder delivers the tablets to a vibro feeder, which in turn feeds onto the belt conveyor, which will level the tablet to one single layer. This layer goes through a dividing system and then feeds to a twisting track which will orient the tablets vertically in the required numbers of rows, 10, 20 or 30 as required. These rows land smoothly onto the filling chain conveyor. Any broken tablets will be separated automatically. Tubes loaded into a feeder box are transferred to the tube checking station. At the checking station, defective tubes, if any, will be automatically ejected out. Tubes are then transferred to the filling station. Caps loaded into the vibratory bowl feeder moves to the filling station. Sensors are used in the tablet line, tube line and cap line to ensure that all the items are ready before filling starts. At the filling station, set of tubes position themselves for filling the set number of tablets. The caps are inserted into the tubes along with the tablets. The filled tube then moves to the sleeving station where the sleeves are inserted onto the tube. The sleeve is cut off automatically by a rotary knife. The tube with sleeve then moves to the heat shrinking station. A blow of hot air makes the sleeve to shrink fit onto the tube. The fill tubes are collet at the outlet. The whole operation of this machine is controlled by a PLC unit with a user-friendly HMI. The servo motors, stepper motors, induction motors and pneumatic cylinder are used to actuating various mechanisms. Tablet filling machines are supplied in different configuration for customer-specific needs. ETA specializes in the design and manufacturing of customized test rigs. Testing system for actuators, IT-047. This test rig facilitates part of the aircraft actuator certification process. Each landing gear actuator requires testing to demonstrate adequate structure strength and fatigue life and performance characteristics. Tests carried out are preliminary operation, proof pressure test, protracted length check, extended length check, bias position length check, cracking pressure of PRV, compressive pressure load check, tensile load check, running and dynamic leakage, internal leakage test, check valve and spool leakage test, LP friction test from retracted position, external leakage test and cleanliness check. 50 kN ball joint endurance test rig, IT-044. Ball joints are critical components used in any automobile steering gear mechanism, and they are to be tested for finding the endurance limit in a simulated condition. This 5-axis ball joint test rig is with the capabilities for running the road load data file in Carlos format recorded on an actual drive in the car. Radial, axial and radial longitudinal are the 3 linear axes, whereas rotation and articulation are the 2 rotary axes. All the 3 linear axes are programmable in force mode or position mode, while the rotary axes are always in position mode only. This test rig is also provided with an environmental chamber. 6-station boot testing machine. The 6-station test rig facilitates conducting high-speed durability testing with environmental simulation on ball joint boots. Temperature cycling with settable temperature for settable duration is available. Saline water supply on the boot is also available. 6 boots at a time can be tested for their endurance in articulation and rotational motions with environmental conditions of -60 degrees centigrade to +180 degrees centigrade and humidity from 10% to 98%. Mud and salt water spray during the test create real field conditions. 3-axis steering gear durability test rig. This test rig facilitates conducting complex road conditions to test the steering gear performance. Hydraulic linear actuators are used for simulating stub axial conditions, while rotary actuators are used to simulate the steering wheel. Alternated fatigue tests, input torque test, rack pull test, valve curve test, leakage tests, NVH tests, torque to velocity tests, parking test, avoidance test, curb clearance test, inertia test, mounting foot fatigue test, rotation and reverse rotation tests are some of the tests in addition to endurance and impact and wear tests are possible on this rig. ETA installations are globally acclaimed for durability testing for steering gear of passenger cars and utility vehicles. Stewart Platform. Stewart Platform, the 6-leg dancing devil based on the advanced Ghost controller, has applications in rail, road, air and sea simulation, machine tools, flight simulators, crane technology, underwater research, air-to-sea rescue, dish antenna positioning, orthopedic surgery and so on. The kinematic equations of a robot are used to compute the positions of the end effector from a set of specified values of the joint parameters. There are 3 linear movements, X, Y and Z namely surge, sway and heave. There are three rotary movements, theta, pi, psi, namely the pitch, roll and yaw. Here you can view the 6 degrees of freedom possible. These 6 degrees of freedom can be combinedly programmed to realize complex motions like sea waves, somersaults, G-effects and so on. End-of-the-line tester for park brake. Apart from the performance evaluation and endurance test machines, ETA Technology has supplied many end-of-the-line test rigs for assembly lines. This test rig facilitates testing button release mechanism, switch actuation and mechanical efficiency of both LH and RH versions of park brake assembly in the vehicles. The test rig performs multiple tests as per test schedule and gives accept or reject verdict. Test data records for all the jobs tested are achieved and are available for online correlation or comparison.